All right, so here we go. Again, if we start with just the regular cosecant of x, all right, so they start with the irregular function. To find an inverse, you switch the x and y. So it would be x equals the cosecant of y. Okay. Now we're differentiating that. Again, this is the statement we're going to come back to in a little while to set up our triangle. All right. This side always ends up to be 1, again, hence the formula, which I tend not to remember. I tend to go back to the derivative the long way. The derivative of x with respect to x is 1. All right. What's the derivative of the cosecant? We can look at our new yellow sheet, which is negative the cosecant of y times the cotangent of y times y prime, because we're differentiating y with respect to x. All right? And then if we solve for y prime, essentially we end up dividing by all this stuff. These all cancel. And y prime would equal, again, I'm going to move my negative to the numerator, negative 1 over the cosecant of y cotangent of y. All right. Now again, if you look at your yellow sheet, this is not the derivative formula you see for the inverse cosecant. So that's where we go back to this triangle, or this statement, and we use that to set up a right triangle where this fact is true. All right? And so I'm going to draw a generic right triangle. And I always call this angle y. Okay. I don't think necessarily very well in terms of cosecants. So if I want the cosecant of this angle, of angle y, to be x, all right? The cosecant is the reciprocal of who? Sine. So sine, that would mean the sine of y, we'd want to be 1 over x. All right? So the sine, or opposite over hypotenuse, we would want to be 1 over x. All right? And then doing Pythagorean theorem, again, this I hope got to be a little bit repetitive. And so see if you can figure out with the people around you what this missing side would be quickly by doing Pythagorean theorem stuff in your head. So wouldn't it be the square root of x squared minus 1? All right. So then when we get down here, again, we're kind of putting these two ideas together. So now I want to know, what is the cosecant of y? Okay. Well, we already knew that. That was x. So we're going to replace that by x. Okay. Cotangent of y. Cotangent's the reciprocal of the tangent. So if tangent is opposite over adjacent, cotangent would be adjacent over opposite, or just the square root of x squared minus 1. And then if I make those two substitutions, those two replacements, I still have the negative 1 on top. Again, in place of cosecant of y, I'm going to put x. In place of cotangent of y, I'm going to put the square root of x squared minus 1. And then if we compare that to the derivative on our yellow sheet, okay, there it is. All right. Remember that the absolute value comes from the fact that we are working with a triangle, and the side of a triangle can't be negative. All right. So we would be done right there.